IBM Tivoli Storage Manager is a centralized, policy-based, enterprise-class, data backup and recovery package. The software enables the user to insert objects not only via backup, but also through space management and archive tools. It also allows retrieval of the same data via similar restore, recall, and retrieve methods. This product is part of the IBM TotalStorage suite of products and is unrelated to the Tivoli Management Framework. History: TSM descended from a project done at IBM's Almaden Research Center around 1988 to back up VM/CMS systems. The first product that emerged was Workstation Data Save Facility. WDSF's original purpose was to back up PC-DOS, OS/2, and AIX workstation data onto a VM/CMS server. WDSF morphed into OddStar Distributed Storage Manager and was rebranded Tivoli Storage Manager in 1999. The TSM database was a bespoke B+tree database. Although the TSM database uses many of the same underlying technologies as IBM's DB2, has an SQL engine, and supports access through ODBC, the database has an architectural limit of approximately 530 GB, and 13 GB of log space. Starting with TSM 6.1, released in May 2009, TSM uses a DB2 instance as its database. Product details: TSM maintains a relational database and recovery log for logging, configuration, statistical information, and object metadata. V5.5 DB pages are always 4 kilobytes, and partitions every 4 megabytes. Single-row inserts only. On average, 20 gigabytes of space is consumed for every 25 million objects. Shallow directory structures use less TSM DB space than deeper paths. This database may generally be queried via an emulated SQL98 compliant interface, or through undocumented show, create or delete commands. Actual user data is managed via a cascading hierarchy of storage media presented as raw devices, file system containers, streaming tape or optical media. Additionally, emulated tape from a virtual tape library or Ink Center or worm archival device are supported. Duplicate copies of any subset of data may be created on sequential media for redundancy or offsite management. The 5.5 release of the TSM server is supported on AIX, HPUX, Linux, Solaris, Windows Server, and ZOS. The current 5.5 release of the TSM client is supported on NetWare, Mac OS, AIX, HPUX, Linux, ZOS, Solaris, and Windows 32/64-bit. The 6.1 release of the TSM server is supported on AIX, HPUX, Linux, Solaris, and Windows Server. The current 6.1 release of the TSM client is supported on the same operating systems as 5.5. TSM 6.3 was released on October 21, 2011. Components: Tivoli Storage Manager as a system is made up of several different components. The major components of TSM include TSM Server, TSM Client, TSM Storage Agent, TSM Data Protector, TSM Operation Center and TSM Administration Center. Each of these provides important functionality to a Tivoli Storage Manager system. Data sources: the most common data source for TSM is the TSM Client. The BA client allows backup and restore of data both selectively and incrementally, which is generally known as progressive incremental, or incremental forever, as each unique client plus file space plus path plus file combination is separately tracked for retention. Further, a separate method is provided by the BA client which is known as archive. This method generates groupings of objects to be retained as a single unit. This still differs from traditional full incremental style backup products in that the files are stored separately or in smaller aggregates rather than as a monolithic image. Additionally, there is no provision for an incremental archive. Other data injectors include policy-based hierarchical storage management components for AIX, Linux and Windows. These allow migration of data from production disk into one or more of the TSM storage hierarchies while maintaining transparent access to that data by the use of DMAPI or NTFS reparse points. IBM General Parallel File System can use TSM as a storage tier for GPFS Information Lifecycle Management, which provides HSM for a GPFS file system. A GPFS file system can be simultaneously accessed from multiple servers running Linux, Windows, and AIX by using GPFS file system software installed on any of these operating system platforms. GPFS provides transparent access to data whether online on disk or migrated to tape by requesting file saves and retrieves from TSM. Additionally, many applications provide or are provided with TSM API connections allowing the storage of databases, mail systems, system backups and even arbitrary user data within TSM's repository. Aside from TSM's Unix HSM product, only the backup and archive management facilities are accessed through the client API. Agents. The TSM architecture makes use of two special-purpose agents. The LAN Free Storage Agent is a limited-function TSM server which is configured as a library client and uses server-to-server communication to coordinate the use of storage resources which are configured to TSM but which are also presented to the storage agent. Usually this LAN-free and server-free backup agent is installed on the specific client. However, it is network accessible and could be utilized to bypass network bottlenecks. One example would be to connect via InfiniBand between two blood center chassis, where one has SAN attachment to tape, and the other does not. This could bypass limited Ethernet bandwidth without having to move the TSM server instance. The NDMP API agent is used by NetApp devices and other network-attached storage devices to allow backup access to the appliance itself rather than having to back up the device via an attached NAS client appliance direct access to shared tape. Administration. Administrative functions are accessed through the IBM command line tool, via IBM's WebSphere portal application known as the TSM Administration Center, or via ODBC. There are also third-party admin API clients like ITSM Manager or the Power Administrator for TSM. Subproducts and other products. Enterprise Edition features the Disaster Recovery Manager, a set of commands which aid in the management of off-site secondary copies of data, the TSM database backups required to access those media, and the configuration data required to recover the TSM database in case of a loss. IBM TSM for NDMP. A marketing name for TSM Enterprise Edition features allowing both LAN and LAN-free backups of network-attached storage. Specifically, NetApp filers or EMC data movers are supported. However, any NDMP v3 or NDMP v4 client is likely functional. IBM TSM for Storage Archive Manager, a marketing name for TSM-EE features which help maintain archive retention for regulatory purposes. Associated products. IBM's naming convention is to prefix every product name with IBM Tivoli Storage Manager. Most products require an additional license. See also IBM Tivoli Storage Manager Fastback for more information on IBM's TSM product for block level continuous data protection. Client also known as Backup Archive Client for most major operating systems at supported versions, Server for most major server operating systems, for advanced copy services, hardware-based snapshots for major database backups. Although it still exists as a product today, the newer releases are rebranded as FCM. For copy services, Windows snapshots for Exchange and MS SQL. For databases, an API for Oracle or MAN and a GUI and CLI tool for MS SQL backups. For data retention, a ZOS client to manage long-term archiving of data. For enterprise resource planning allows online backup of SAP R/3 stored in Oracle or DB2. Formerly backend developed by IBM Germany and Entwicklung by the Enterprise Service Division as a support offering to backup SAP R/3 directly into TSM. This product was acquired by Tivoli as Tivoli Data Protection for R/3, for mail, external applications that tie into the API for Lotus Domino and Microsoft Exchange for online backups, For SharePoint, a repackaged copy of Doc-Arve, still marketed by its OEM Arve Point, for space management, for Linux and AIX. Automatically moves inactive data to less expensive media and frees online disk space for important active data. The Windows product is open store for file servers produced by Intercope GmbH, for storage area networks, also known as LAN Free Storage Agent, a modified version of the TSM server itself, offering no local TSM database. Configuration is purely for server-to-server library sharing. This allows the agent to write to tapes managed by the primary TSM server without having to pass data over the network. For system backup and recovery, a standalone product for AIX bare metal recovery. The original name was Sysback/6000, produced by Tony Johnson in the 1990s and sold by IBM as a service offering through IBM Global Services. Sysback can back up and restore files, file systems, volume groups, and entire systems to local or remote disk, local or remote tape, NIM servers, and TSM. Current versions can also recover systems via the files backed up using the TSM-BA client. There is a major branch of this product. When Tony Johnson left IBM in 1998, he started a company and product named Storix. Storix is feature-rich and supports AIX and Linux, has a GUI management interface, and is very similar in origins to Sysback. Storix actively competes with IBM Sysback due to differing price structures and features. For virtual environments, provides advanced data protection and flexible recovery options for VMware vSphere ESX and ESXi servers. Interface products, IBM Tivoli Storage Manager operational reporting, a portion of the TSM Microsoft Management Console plugin for Windows which can generate web pages and email out of SQL queries and simple processing of that data. Custom SQL can be added. However, the reporting tool provides no trending or graphing functionality. This is seen as one of the major faults of TSM. Power Administrator for TSM, complete and easy-to-use GUI for administration, management, monitoring, reporting and error analysis of TSM environments. Includes a report builder to define custom reports with many different performance elements. Capable of sending SNMP traps and emails for new TSM messages, generated reports, and even trouble tickets. Operator for TSM, debriefing software's Windows-based GUI for managing one or more TSM servers. Allows easy handling of offsite volumes through animated step-by-step instructions. ITSM Explorer is easy and comfortable product for managing and monitoring Tivoli Storage Manager. Product allows to manage many TSM servers from single sign-on. It is written in Java using the SWT widget toolkit. Wizard Storage Portal, debriefing software's cloud-based monitoring and reporting tool for TSM and SVC. Includes 24/7 monitoring, user-defined dashboards, graphic reporting, remote TSM management and integration with Operator for TSM. Non-Tivoli API clients, ADINT, developed by IBM Germany by the Enterprise Service Division as a support offering to back up SAP MaxDB directly into TSM. ITSM Pipe, an unsupported tool provided by IBM through its Redbook site for piping data directly into TSM. Commonly used to back up MySQL, archive backup client for OpenVMS, a product by StaServer Incorporated to back up OpenVMS systems into TSM. With ABC you can back up, archive, restore, query and manage OpenVMS files stored on TSM servers as a logical extension to the online OpenVMS ODS2 or ODS5 file systems. Kminisoft Managed Server HSM, Tivoli Edition, hierarchical storage management software for file system archiving of seldom accessed files to TSM. Supports N-Series, NetApp, Windows, Linux, and NetWare. CBMR-TBMR, a product by Christie sold as a bare metal restore tool for Linux, Solaris, HP UX and Windows using TSM as a data store. Data Protector for Firebird Interbase, software to back up Firebird Interbase databases to TSM provided by Firebird Interbase, Data Protector for Angra, software to backup Angra databases to TSM. Angra is part of the LISOG open source stack initiative. Data Protector for MySQL, software to backup MySQL to TSM provided by MySQL. Data Protector for PostgreSQL, software to backup PostgreSQL to TSM provided by w3.reposter.com. Data Protector for Progress, software to backup Progress databases to TSM provided by Progress Software. Data Protector for SQL Anywhere, software to backup SQL Anywhere databases to TSM provided by Sybase Anywhere, an SAP AG company. Data Protector for Sybase ASE, software to backup Sybase ASE databases to TSM provided by Sybase. Data Protector for Sybase IQ, software to backup Sybase IQ databases to TSM provided by Sybase. DB2, as a major internally developed product, DB2 contains its own direct connection into the TSM API. SQL Backtrack, a product by BMC software to backup a variety of database products into TSM. STServer Data Protection for Oracle RDB on OpenVMS, a product by STServer Incorporated to backup Oracle databases on OpenVMS into TSM. STServer Appliance for VMware Consolidated Backup, a product by STServer Incorporated to backup VMware to TSM servers. TapeTrack Tape Management Framework, a tape tracking software product that interfaces with TSM to provide end-to-end asset management of tape volumes. Sold by Gazilla Byte LLC. Xmander Recovery Manager, a MySQL backup product integrated with TSM provided by Xmander. See also, List of backup software, Oddstar, Tape Management System, References.